Hey everybody, what's up? And welcome back to the channel. So today I'm doing something a little different. I'm kind of doing this podcasty form of a video. See how you guys like that, because I kind of like to do some kind of podcasting stuff on the channel. I'd actually like to be interviewing bands and stuff and trying to find some local musicians I could have come and actually do some interviews in the studio. So that would be kind of cool. But yeah, that's not what we're going to talk about today. Today, I want to tell you guys a story. I want to tell you a story about how I lost my band in one day, or more like lost them in one evening of band practice. It was the craziest thing. It's one of the craziest things that's ever happened to me as a musician when it comes to like band members just flaking out and doing weird, crazy stuff. I've got tons of stories like that about, band members or people trying out for the band that just flake. I mean, flake. But this story was pretty crazy. So I figured I would bring it to you guys and tell you guys and see what you guys think. See if you guys have ever had any experiences like this. So if you had, put those down below because I'd love to hear your experiences of crazy band members trying out or people that you played with in the past. So, but this goes back to 2017. Now in 2016, I moved from Colorado to back to Virginia for a little while, thinking that I was going to reconnect with my family, my brothers and my mom. Unfortunately, that didn't really happen. I mean, my oldest brother and I were still in touch, but the rest of my family I don't talk to. That's a whole other story in itself. But anyway, I came back here in 2016, 2017. I started looking for people to play with, and I met this guy named Dwight. All right, and we met through like bandmix.com or something like that. I think it was bandmix.com we met through. And cool guy, kind of a blues guitar player, played a Mexican Fender Strat. Real nice guy. Worked at the University of Virginia, and him and I got together and we started playing music. And I write a lot of original stuff, so I taught him a bunch of my original songs, and then we picked out some covers we wanted to do. And him and I played together. I mean, we played 2 times a week for a year. We would practice. And in between those times, we had people coming in and trying out. We were trying to find a drummer and a bass player. Now, even though I can play bass too, we still were kind of trying to find a bass player so we could have 2 guitars and a bass player. And we were trying to find a drummer and a singer. And so we had people coming and going and trying out. And I was even willing to like switch to bass if we could get another guitar player that played rhythm. And I would just go ahead and play bass. It didn't matter. If we could find another guitar player or a bass player, we were going to be good. I was actually singing at the time, but I'm not a singer. I fake it until I can make it kind of thing. But so me and this guy, we became really good friends, been playing for a good solid year together, having people come and go. He was getting kind of frustrated. Like we had this one bass player that came in. The dude jammed with us, probably, 6, 8 times maybe. And we thought he was solid and it was going to be good. And then the next thing you know, he just doesn't show up to practice. He's not answering his phone. We can't get in touch with him. Never heard from this guy again. He just dropped off the face of the earth. And that happens a lot with musicians. I don't know why, but like people will come out and start practicing with you, and the next thing you know, they just appear. And for some reason in Virginia, it's really a big thing because I've never experienced it so much as I have here with the flaky musicians that are in this area. It's kind of crazy. But long story short, we kept working on it, and we finally met this husband and wife couple. The wife's name was Jackie, and the husband's name was Gabe. Gabe was an amazing drummer, and Jackie had an amazing voice. And if you guys want to hear some of the stuff we did, if you go to my Bandmix channel, my Bandmix thing that's on Bandmix, it's Silverflow's the band. And if you guys want to hear some of the stuff I did with them, I have some live recordings there that we just recorded in the studio in the band room. I put 2 condenser mics up and just recorded it live. And it was really cool. And we were just getting our legs when I recorded that stuff, but it was really good. And Jackie was a great singer, and Gabe was a phenomenal drummer. And so now we've got a great singer, we got a good drummer. Dwight's doing lead guitar, I'm playing rhythm guitar and doing backup vocals, and we're thinking, oh, we got something good here, and it's really good. And we're doing rock music. All right, we're doing some originals I wrote, and we're doing stuff like Shine Down. We're doing some Seether. We're doing Broken. We're doing a lot of stuff like that. We even were doing a rock cover of Jolene. As far as covers go, we did Knock on Heaven's Door, but it's just, classic rock music for the covers and harder rock stuff, and then original stuff that I write that's like hard rock or punky. But it was going good. We had a good set list going. We already had like 16 songs hammered out, working on a bunch of new stuff and writing stuff, and it was going really, really, really good. The one thing that we ran into is that Jackie ends up telling me that she doesn't really want to do originals as much, and I guess she just struggles with it. I don't know why, but so I was singing a lot of the original stuff myself, but she was doing all the other stuff, which was fine. But we thought things were going good, right? Well, everybody's like, "Oh, we need to get a bass player. We need to get a bass player," and I was like, "Well, I'll just play bass." But we wanted to have two guitars. So we're trying out bass players and trying to find a bass player. And we had a couple come and go. They just weren't what we were looking for. And then this guy shows up. This guy called, said, "Hey, I'm interested." And he shows up. And it turns out the first issue that happens is that this guy was a guy that was going to come try out like almost 6-8 months earlier, and he blew us off. And when the guy shows up and we get to talking, I realize this is the guy that blew us off like 6 months ago and didn't show up. And it turns out the reason why he blew it off is he went and tried out for another band, which didn't work out. Which that happens and that's fine, but at least to own up to it, you know what I mean? So long story short, this guy comes in and I'm already put off by this guy just by his attitude and everything. But, everybody's like, "Oh, give him a chance." So we let him come in and practice. Now, this is the craziest thing that just blows my mind. So we get in there. All right, and this guy, now understand, we sent this guy a set list, so he knew the songs that we were playing. He knew what cover songs we were doing, so he already knew what he was walking into before he got there. And so what ends up happening is this guy comes in real cocky, like he's God's gift to bass players. And I really wasn't impressed with him, but everybody's like, let's see what he can do. And so we start playing, right? And we start going through songs, and we go through maybe like 3 or 4 songs. And one of the songs that he brought up to do is like Marshall Tucker's "Can't You See," which is a song that we did. And we're like, all right, sure, because he's like, I know that one. So we start playing that one, right? Now, mind you, the bass player suggested we play this song. We didn't suggest it. The guy that's trying out said, "Hey, can we do that song?" We said, sure. So we play that song, right? And then after we're done playing that song, he proceeds to tell us that he's really not into this. This is he's not into playing songs like Marshall Tucker and things like that. What he really wants to do is he wants to play blues music. All right. Now understand, this is a rock band, and this is a band that I pulled together, and I've been trying to pull together, and still, struggling to do stuff with it today. I've been doing solo stuff. I do have a couple people I play with, but it's been a chore. But anyway, so he brings up the whole I want to do a blues thing. Well, the guitar player is a blues guy. He likes blues, and then it turns out all of a sudden the singer chick is all about blues. So the next thing I'm happening, now understand, this is a rock band. This is a rock band that's doing original stuff and some covers. And the next thing I know, I got a guy that we don't know that's trying out, that's now turned this into, everybody's like, "Oh, we should do blues. We should do this. We should play this song, that song," and starts doing all this, talking about changing the whole band into a blues band, and not trying to be a dick, but this is my band. All right. This is the band that I pulled together. With my band name, Silverflow, trying to get original music out that I have written, and I want to collaborate with people, but this is like my baby, right? So they're going back and forth for like 5-10 minutes about blues. And I just sat there and listened to it and couldn't believe, me and Gabe, the drummer, because he's a rock drummer, big time rock drummer. We're just looking at each other and we're like, what the hell's going on? And so the next thing that happens is I just finally say, hold on. I said, hold up. Everybody stop. I said, here's the deal. Silverflow is a rock band. It's not a blues band. We're not going to play blues. We're not doing Stevie Ray Vaughan. We're not doing any of that shit. This is a rock band. All right. It's going to be based around rock music. End of story. If you guys want to do a blues band, you guys can do a side project. That's fine. But this band is going to be a rock band. End of story. So the band practice basically ends right there. Everybody's like, "Oh, well, let's just call it and we can talk about it later, blah, blah, blah." and stuff. And it's the weirdest thing because I was like, what the hell happened? I'm looking at Gabe the whole time going, what the hell just happened? He's like, I don't know, man. Gabe was super cool. He was super cool. So we're sitting there and we're just like, what the hell what just went down? So everybody packs up their stuff. That guy leaves, and I tell the rest of the band to stick around and stuff because he was just a total dick. He was just like, yeah, he's like, I don't do any of this stuff. This is just easy, stupid crap, and blah blah blah. And he said a bunch of other stuff that I'm just like, why did you even come? Why are you even here if you're not even into the type of music we're playing? It makes no sense what you're doing here. So long story short, I sit back and tell the band, I said, this guy isn't it, And they're like, well, he's a really good bass player and da da da. I was like, he's a good bass player, but he's not any better than anybody else that's been in this room. I was like, he's not like some phenomenal phenom bass player that we need to like, hey man, this is the guy, we got to do this. He wasn't anything like that. It wasn't spectacular in any way. So long story short, we're sitting there and, I tell him no. I big fat no to this guy, and everybody's like, oh, and so they're like, well, we're just gonna go home. We'll talk about it later. So I think everything's cool. By the time we're done, everybody in the band, everything's cool. And Gabe's like, no problem, because the other thing is we had like 7 more guys to try out. This was the first guy of 7 guys that were coming to try out, right? So he's the first guy, and he was a dick. And so long story short, I'm like, Gabe, just, get the next guy lined up, and we'll have him come in. And Gabe was all for it. He's like, yeah, man. He goes, we'll get this guy and we'll get him lined up and we'll get the next guy and we'll find a guy. We're going to do it. He was all for it. So Gabe and them, they all leave, right? And everybody leaves. And then we're not practicing again until like next Thursday or something, right? And so it's about a day or 2 later. I talked to Gabe on the phone. And Gabe's like, yeah, man, we'll I'll call these other guys up and get them lined up and we'll get them out there and we'll get the next guy out and we'll see how that works out. And I'm like, yeah, cool. That's cool. So what ends up happening is that after we had the conversation, like the next day, Gabe calls me up and he goes, hey man, he goes, I was talking to Jackie and, Jackie really wants to do this blues thing with that bass player that came out and stuff. So, we're going to bail and we're going to, go do this blues thing with that bass player guy, because I guess that guy had contacted them and got in touch with them and they all decided that they were going to do this blues thing and just bail on us. Right. Well, I thought us at the time, which was Dwight and I at the time. So I called Dwight after I get off the phone with Gabe and say, hey man, it looks like, Gabe and Jackie are bailing and they want to go play with that bass player guy. And he's like, oh man, really? I'm like, yeah. He's like, that sucks, And I'm like, yeah, it sucks. It really sucks. Cause I thought we had something there. And he's like, yeah, I thought we had something too. And so him and I have this long conversation and stuff. And he's very frustrated. He's like, man, this sucks. He's like, we keep trying to find people and they keep bailing on us. I was like, that's part of how it goes in the music industry. It's really hard to find people that you click with. So I told him, I said, don't worry about it. We'll keep looking. But you and I, we've got this good thing together. We can go do some solo shows because we were super tight together. We could just go do some acoustic shows. And he's like, oh, yeah, okay. So I get off the phone with him, right? Thinking everything's cool, that me and him are still tight. Been playing with this guy for over a year. And so Thursday comes, we're supposed to have band practice, right? And all of a sudden, he's not there. He doesn't show up. I don't get a phone call, which is odd from him because if he ever couldn't make it, he would call me. I get no phone call. I've got no idea what's going on. And the next thing, I'm like calling, leaving messages, trying to call him, leaving messages. And I don't hear from this guy. Again. Like, he won't call me. He won't talk to me. Nothing. I've got nothing, and nothing. I don't hear anything from this guy. And this is a guy I've been playing with for freaking over a year. And all of a sudden he just ghosts me. And I'm like, what is going on? Right. Meantime, Gabe's not picking up the phone anymore either, so I have no idea what's going on. And I'm sitting there dumbfounded. Like, I'm just dumbfounded. I have no idea what's happened. My whole band is just gone, and now it's just me again. And then it takes me like 3 weeks before Dwight, the guitar player guy, finally messaged me. I didn't even know. I just sent him a message. Dude, just tell me if you're alive, because I don't know if this guy's gotten in a car accident or what. Been playing with this guy for over a year and hanging out with him. All of a sudden, nothing. And like 3 weeks later, I finally get a message, and he tells me that he'll call me, and we finally talk on the phone. And his whole thing is that he's like, yeah, man. He goes, I just didn't want to deal with the drama and stuff, and I was really upset and all this other blah 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 crap. I'm like, really? You couldn't at least talk to me? Like, you ghost me for 3 weeks? I think you might be dead. I got no idea what's going on, and you finally say, hey, what's going on? You know, I was like, and I have no clue. And so he gives me this whole thing about, he doesn't think he wants to do it anymore, blah 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 blah. And so we're basically done. I'm like, hey, let's at least meet up and talk in person, and stuff, so we can just hash this out, and whichever way it goes, it goes. So what ends up happening is we meet at this restaurant bar thing, and we sit down and talk, and we have a conversation and stuff. Well, in the process of the few days that go by that I'm waiting to meet up with him to have this conversation, I see on Facebook that Gabe has posted some pictures of their new band, right? Well, guess what? The new band consists of Gabe, his wife Jackie, and my guitar player Dwight, and some other bass player guy that's not even the bass player guy that tried out for us at that time, right? And I'm like, what the hell? What the hell? So he lied to me and bailed on me. So I'm just like, oh, so now I see what's going on. So here's the funny thing. When we finally meet up and grab a beer and something to eat, and we're talking, I'm like, oh, so I see that you're over there playing with Jackie and Gabe, and you just bailed on me and wanted to do this blues thing. And he's like, well, yeah. He goes, I went over there and I wanted to try it out and stuff. He goes, but, it ended up not working out in the end anyway. And I was like, well, what happened to the bass player guy that all you guys left me for to go play with? And he's like, well, he never showed up. So the funny thing about it is that bass player guy got my whole band to bail to go do this blues thing. And then they set up a time to get together and play. And then he never even showed up for them and stuff. And then it ended up not working out for Dwight either. So the funny thing is that in the end they did that, and then the whole thing fell apart on them and went, and they didn't end up having the band anyway. And the other thing that killed me is I saw the set list that they were using for their new band that they were doing, and it was all the covers that we were playing. So they weren't even doing the blues stuff. They weren't even doing blues. They were literally took all the covers we've been working on and started something else. I don't know why. I have no idea. Maybe I'm just a total asshole or something because I didn't want to play with that bass player, but I have no clue. But Dwight and I ended up parting on good ways. He decided he wanted to try to do some blues stuff and go play with some girl he met, which ended up not working out either. And it's just crazy to have lose your whole band in one practice because of some guy that came and tried out, and then find out that they tried to start something and it didn't work and it fell apart, and you just never hear from these people again. It was the weirdest thing in the world. But it's also it's just ironic that they did that and then it didn't work out, and I don't feel bad that it didn't work out for them because they pretty much screwed me in that whole situation. And after Dwight and I got together that one time and sat and talked at that restaurant, we've never talked again. I tried to stay in touch with him and just, check on him from time to time, and never heard from him again. He just dropped off the face of the earth too. So, but it's a crazy, crazy story to have that happen, just crazy. The other thing about Jackie though is one of the things she told me right there at the end before all that happened too, is that I've always been interested in playing my originals and getting my originals out there, and I'd rather fail trying to do that than succeed playing somebody else's music. And she pretty much told me that she'd rather just be a dive cover band that played in divey bars, which is not where I want to go with my music. I mean, playing bars and stuff's fun, but that's my ultimate goal, is to get my original songs and get my original and I want to write original music with other people and put that out there, because it's a lot more satisfying to me when somebody tells you that they really love a song that you actually wrote yourself. So, but there's my crazy story how I lost my band all in one night, which was just the craziest thing in the world. I was like, that's never happened to me before. I've had band members come and go, but I've never had a whole band just ghost me and never hear anything from them again. It was the craziest thing in the world. And I was like, yeah, that's nuts. But it's also why I always fall back on me being a solo artist and doing my songs solo. And if you guys follow me for any length of time, you see that I've put out my own songs. I have 6 songs out, and well, actually I have more than 6 songs out. I have 7 songs out, but 6 of them I have music videos for, that are up on this channel and up on my Silverflow band channel. And I did everything myself. I sang, played drums, bass, everything. It's all me. Um, that wasn't my original plan, but with as flaky as musicians can be, that's just how it's ended up to be. And it makes me think about, that's how a lot of these other people end up becoming solo artists, because musicians, man, they can be flaky and just crazy, and it's just nuts. So anyway, that's my crazy story. I hope you guys enjoyed it. It's a little nuts. This is the first time I wanted to do things this way, so you guys tell me what you think about me telling stories like this. I'd love to hear your crazy band stories of musicians flaking out on you, or what you guys got going on as well, because it's always interesting to hear other people's experiences when it comes to music and stuff like that, and the experiences they've had with playing with other musicians. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Leave questions, comments, and your stories down below, and I will see you guys on the next one.